Dear friends, good to see you year after year and in strong numbers. And this only goes to reassure all of us that we are on the right path with the FICCI movement. Uh, Once again, we have a load of subjects, ideas, challenges in front of us, and I'm sure next 3 days uh, will be absolutely great fun, and a lot of thoughts will get exchanged, and we shall all act upon them. A lot has been said about the censor and censorship in this country today. Uh, I'm very happy that Mr. Murthy is in the room, and between him and me, we were part of the Benegal committee, and we gave it 5 months. And if to break the suspense, what we've recommended is we need to abolish censorship. In complete clarity, there are no ifs and buts. There cannot be a scissor anymore in this great country if we need to preserve the freedom of expression. So the recommendation is to introduce certification based on age, but no censorship whatsoever. A very sincere thank to all of you for having graced this occasion and supported FICCI Frames. Without you, it does not happen. I think the men on the podium are just a mere reflection of the collective consciousness of the room, and that's where the podium draws its strength from. Thank you very much for coming back again and again in such healthy numbers and energy. Whenever I walk into this room, what really gets to me is the energy. India right now is a land of dreams. We have the great Indian dream, a land of opportunities, and there's so much to be accomplished, and we're going to do that. But we really cannot do that with meaningful partnership. So, sir, thank you very much from coming over from a faraway land, but you're very close to our hearts. Thank you very much for each delegation member from Canada. 3 cheers for being here. I hope you have a great time. I hope you come back again and again. We have a saying called Atati Devo Bhava, which actually I was trying to understand the meaning. It means come back. My dear friend, my guest, do come back. So, yes, we need to make money. I totally agree. But I beg to differ at what cost. We need to create content. Yes, we will create content. We will be imaginative. We will preserve our tradition. We will look into the future. But I think where we are failing is we are failing the nation is to take the content to the people of the country. So unless, sir, we start a revolution and the beginning of people's theaters in this country, all that we create will have very little meaning. Today at the breakfast with you, I actually heard myself saying that piracy is good. And I said, oh, what have I said? Where did this come from? That there should be piracy. And why did I say that? I was a bit angry with myself, and then there was a moment of self realization that at least with with piracy, the people of this country are getting to see what they deserve any which way because we haven't provided it to them. Sorry to use this reverse logic, but the point I'm trying to say is we need to build theaters and cultural centers for the people of this country where I can take my mother, my sister, my wife, or they can take me, sorry, and at a reasonable cost in a healthy and a clean environment, which FICCI was at the helm of the multiplex revolution. FICCI was at the helm of so many other things, and I'm extremely confident that FICCI will be at the helm of this new age of cinema exhibition in India, which, if I may term, will be the people's theatres, set all across the country, and the numbers. And we're gonna beat China, not to worry. A lot of us quote China all the time. Uh, that's not an issue. It's great to have good and healthy competition. At least there are milestones. So we're going to do that. So yes, and I hope all of us in this room actually believe that we're going to do that. And unless you believe, we're not going to do it. So we need to take the country along and not just 0.3 or 3% of the 100 billion we keep talking about. I have to thank our committee chairman, Mr. Uday Shankar, not for just supporting us, but for leading us from the front, for showing us the way, for his terrific ideas and bold thinking. He has not only been an architect of one of the most successful media M&E organizations of this country, but what he's also done for all of us is that he's been a thought leader. So, sir, please keep leading us. It's very important. Thank you, Mr. John Howard Tory. Thank you once again. Thank you, Mr. Patel. And sir, now that you're here from Delhi and we brought you down with great persuasion, and since I believe finally we managed to convince you yesterday, we won't let you off so easily. Let me promise you that. And what I may suggest very humbly is if we can, within the whole thing, create like an action committee of 3-4 people who meet every fortnight, because it's a long road. It cannot be just, we cannot fix meetings and then have meetings to have meetings. We have to define agendas. We have to approach it in a structured manner. And then maybe every quarter we review what had happened every fortnight, and we can provide representation from each stakeholder from our industry. And under your guidance and your leadership, we really look forward to, I won't call them issues. Somebody told me, so what are the issues in front of you? I said, we have no issues whatsoever. We have opportunities. I look at abolishing censorship as an opportunity. I don't look at it as an issue. We have to do it, and this generation will have to. So let's give it the next 3 years and fortnight after fortnight, and let's see where we get. So on that note, once again, I'd like to thank everybody, people who come from far away land, parts of this country. Leena ma'am, you're the pillar. Thank you very much.
Short questions, so we have to wrap up. We are running behind time.
Question. Okay, Siddharth, I would like to know, because you mentioned about creative people have started self-censoring themselves. Now tell me, you are part of Disney, and what happens when Disney, is working on a film project? Are you not, Disney also doesn't go through a process of self-censoring in order to ensure that it gets certain kind of rating, from the rating agencies? Is it not the fact that you also modify your content in order to get it passed from certain rating agencies, whether in UK or in US? This is a question.
Got it. Yeah, so I got the question. I'm actually not at Disney anymore, so I've turned independent producer, but I will answer your question. You are absolutely right when you say that a company like Disney would do a certain amount of self-censorship because the Disney brand stands for certain values that they would like to depict in their movies. Versus another studio which is sort of content agnostic, which doesn't only make family-friendly movies, but would make movies that maybe cater to a youth audience, where they want to be slightly edgier, etc. I'm very heartened that the Secretary actually has clarified that we as an industry should not be looking at self-censorship, and that's something we would not like to be doing. But I think we're all responding to the current environment that exists, where unfortunately there are certain fringe elements, and as the Secretary rightly put it, you're not going to be able to apprehend in advance what they might or might not do and how their reaction might be. What I think as an industry we are looking for is, when these events do occur, a very strong statement from the central as well as the state government, wherever this has occurred, very strongly condemning this act. Because if someone is, for example, slapped on the set of his film, or a set is destroyed, what I think we would like is the signals to be sent out that this is completely unacceptable, though obviously we know it is, but it bears repeating, because if that doesn't happen in a very, in a very timely manner, then you run the risk of emboldening these fringe elements by them believing that the content is being tacitly condoned. So I think it is very important for a very strong statement to go out from whoever the authority is at that point of time, that this will not be accepted and strict action will be taken.
Right, thank you very much. On that note, sir, we have to wrap it up. We are really behind time.
We are many of us on stage. It's my privilege to be the moderator of this session, which means that I get to ask questions. I see many old friends here. We still have Vani Tripathi missing. I wish you were Vani. So, as I was saying that I'm privileged to be the moderator of this session, and personally I hate those moderators who speak themselves a lot and never give a chance to actually get to hear the panelists. It's my game today to try not to be one of them. Let's see if I succeed. And lots of many prolific people here, and I'm going to start the conversation very randomly. We'll try to make sense. A small introduction about myself, for those who might know a little bit about me. I'll give you the reason why I'm entitled to be over here. It is that the first thing I ever directed on television was a show called Purushetra, which was a chat show about women. Yes, ma'am, you were there. It was a chat show about men, called Purushetra, with a female moderator. So history repeats itself in a different way, like Kabir Das ki ulti Vani. And I am here.
Your female anchor is a member of parliament.
My female anchor is a member of parliament. And if it had not been for Ajit Andhare over here, I would have been the only privileged male gentleman here. So just working in Purushetra, as it happens, provided me a lot of insight and experience about women in this country, how things were changing, how interesting things were. And we, in this short discussion, are not going to perhaps come up with anything prolific, but we will mess around till you guys get a glimpse of the lives that we live, that each one of us lives, and in an experiential way, we leave something with you which is of interest. So I'm going to start with Ajit here. Are you getting this mic? Hello, hello. Hello. I'm going to start with you, Ajit. Would you like to say what you do?
To save the moderator, I am the only one of the male species here. What do I do is I make films at Viacom 18 Motion Pictures. I think what we are talking about is breaking the glass ceiling and the misogyny and all of that. And happy to say that I think for us as a studio, the journey has been one where we possibly discovered this truth, very early, and a whole lot of films that we did. The heroism, did not come from the hero, which is what has happened for almost 50, 60 years in the industry. But the heroism actually came from the woman, and so we realized that, stories can source heroism.
No,
from
Ajit,
anywhere.
let me try to add some personal touch
Sure,
and
sure.
some controversy into the thing.
Oh my God.
Do you like women?
Of course I do.
Yeah? You feel happy? Would you like me to take a snap and send to you?
Absolutely.
But when you work with them, do you feel that in the kind of setup that you work in a media corporate kind of a setup, all white collar, but do you feel any difference in the two? Would you be careful of, or would you be thinking differently in hiring a woman, etc., over a man, etc.?
See, again, this would be very conditioned from the background that I come from, and I've largely experienced two sectors when you talk corporate, one being FMCG and the other being media. Certainly in the corporate, I would say that's a thought which has possibly never crossed my mind, or the professional setup that I've been part of. Yes, of course, because of the society that we come from and the natural, skew of the society, especially in the FMCG, the ratio of women was, of course, much lower as compared to media and entertainment. In fact, I would say if there is one industry which embraces women wholeheartedly in the corporate sector, it is actually M&E,
That's why we are in the industry which embraces women, right?
Absolutely. So I would say certainly not at all. I think one aspect where I do experience that is, let's say we are trying to sell a film with a female lead versus we are trying to sell a film with a male lead to a distributor. Now the distributor represents, let's say, a heartland person somewhere sitting in UP. I think the difficulty that I will face to sell a female lead film, despite having a roster of success on, female-led films, is going to be significantly high. I don't think I can sell a film even today. But if I have a male lead film to sell, I can sell it sitting in Bombay pretty easily. So I think that's the other end where we've really seen the contrast very, very starkly. And even if you've seen so much of success, whether it's, Neerja, Tanu Weds Manu, or, even Dangal, I think that whole bias is far too deep-rooted, for it to change easily, which is really the old narrative. But I think new narrative is that it is changing. People are realizing that there is an economics that works even with the women lead, and that bias is clearly sort of chipping away. But it's just starting to chip away. It's a really long way to go.
So talking about personal leverage with you, Sona, we were just discussing that she performs in front of thousands and thousands of people. She is a prolific singer and a performing artist. So when you tour in the heartland, as we were talking, in the north, as a woman performer, do you do anything special to control your security situation?
Before I answer that, I must say this is the first time that I have been on a panel which, not surprisingly, is again a women's topic and women-centric, and so I get invited for it. And I have a grouse every time Times Now calls me. I say, I have a brain that can opine on things beyond matters women, so I would like to be invited for those ones too. I must say this is the first time that I'm sitting on a panel where there are there are two men on stage. Otherwise, I have to literally think that it's a bunch of women talking about women, and the audience is also mostly women. So thank you to the organizers
in
and
this
the
case,
audience.
right?
Because it always feels like we are here to discuss our period pains or something, and it's all between us, and the rest of the world doesn't have to engage because we are only 50% of the population. But just like the universal stories in film, in the big parda, is all about everybody being interested about man's journey and narrative. And when it comes to the women, only the women are interested. I feel, well, we should give a big clap to all of us for filling up this bubble with all of us, you know. Yeah, and to answer your question, I'm a performing artist, and I travel with a band. And for the larger part of this decade, I started where just to pitch the idea of a female performer with a band was a tough one for a lot of people to digest, because thanks to the Pakistani bands, or maybe that's not the word angle to bring up here, people had an idea of how, well, men can be with musicians on stage, women have to be with dancers for some reason, and in some way titillate the audience. I mean, that's that's likely to be a purpose. So you're either in that zone or you're in that Savitri, Saraswati, frump, singing very seriously and appealing to that, you know, that domesticated woman who is either that wife or, you know, or that good girl, a good woman. Things have changed though. I mean, I've seen it change in the last 7-8 years itself. And in the last 3-4 years, I find myself touring extensively with a band. And North India is especially very challenging and a very exciting space to be in. Because, what was the question you asked me though? Do I do anything?
Doesn't matter, you're doing well.
Do I?
Leverage,
Yeah.
yeah.
Security.
Yeah, in terms of security, I must say, I must say that I have a manager in the audience here who would vouch for the fact that we have an incredible detailed hospitality rider, which we learned to put together over the years, where we attempt to create a distance between what I am and what the rest of the people are who meet me in that show, because it has to be that quality for car, this amount. There is a certain belief that, okay, this female performer, you know, breathes in some rarefied air,
Yeah,
and therefore
she's
she shouldn't
snooty
be touched.
perhaps. People might think that that you're snooty.
Sorry?
Because you have specifications about how you'd like to be treated on the tour.
Yes, to this extent, every time I check into a hotel in North India, I must share this with you, is that आप अभी भी करो, दिल्ली में भी हो, Delhi is your capital, you call up for room service and they will answer you with a sir ji. And I will keep saying, आवाज़ इतनी भी भारी नहीं है, I'm a woman, and you know, I would try and explain that. And it's incredible that even a waiter coming in to serve you, and I'm not talking about Kanpur or some, you know, smaller place, I'm talking about even Delhi, where their natural instinct is that if it's a position of respect, if it's a person living probably alone in a hotel room or seems to have a team or some kind of a boss, some kind of an authority figure, it has to be Sirji. The vocabulary itself is not tuned in to
That is
understand
true.
your gender.
That's true,
So
I noticed that.
there's so many little interesting things which add up to show us that yes, things are changing, but I mean, we have a lot of people to go. The one thing I'd like to state up front is that it's not about being the pretty faces anymore or being just visible. I think it's very, very important that women occupy positions of leadership and decision making, and for that, when it comes to the media and entertainment, they actually take charge of creating content and not just being part of content, not being the puppet in the whole game. So that to me is the most critical thing straight on.
So, talking about pretty faces, Richa, what do you have to say to that? A pretty face, a beautiful woman, does she come in the way of her own development in other spheres?
Yes. Hello.
There's
Hi,
everything
everybody.
around
I was waiting for a chance to speak at a panel like this, so I'm going to say 3 very revolutionary, radical ideas that I believe in, because this house has so many men. Okay? 1, I firmly believe that if women were not responsible for making children, we would be obsolete. 2, do you think the world is in a good shape right now? Do you think so? Does
Yes, I
anybody
do.
think so?
I think
Yes,
it's getting
no?
better.
Okay, well, I'm talking about war and famine and food distribution.
It's better
The
than last
world-
century. It's getting better every decade.
Okay, can I finish?
I'm
The
optimistic.
leadership of the world primarily has been in the hands of men. Give us a chance. We bring life into the world. We know the value of life. We were not prone to war so easily. Give us a chance. And 3, women to get to to get to the same stage as men in career or in any other field have to work twice as hard. And I think all women here would agree with me on that.
I don't agree about the asking for it.
Yeah.
I believe
like,
that
no!
real power has to be taken and not given.
Yes.
So then why, who are you asking?
Can I just add something?
I am not
here?
asking. I am saying it's happening. And we might as well brace for it. Because if we are going to live in the illusion that this country is going to become a superpower or that the wars will come to an end, and barring a few countries, more or less the laws are in favor of patriarchy, and it's so conditioned because feminism is not a biological thing. Just because I'm a woman, I'm not a feminist. Just because
That's
you're
true.
a man,
It's
you are
not
not
that-
patriarchal.
Imtiaz,
Right?
Absolutely.
have your good looks come in the way of your career?
I would like to say, first of
My
all,
good looks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just say something?
Is
Oh,
your-
it's the first
has
time he
your-
heard that, didn't he?
Is your vision?
It's a question just keeps getting asked to women, you know. It's like,
No, but
are your
I
looks
want-
coming in the way of being taken seriously? I keep,
Sona,
yes, for
I
the
want
longest
to-
time.
I want to say something that I'm not ashamed to admit. For the longest time, for most of the industry, I wasn't even good looking. I was only good looking for my mom and dad. Because I was little savli for a Punjabi, you know, not a model-esque kind of figure. So thank you for the compliment. And no.
No, I'm your fan. I think you're definitely one of the best actors we have.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I go to watch your films, and ever since I saw you first as Dolly,
Yes.
I could never forget.
Can I say something here?
Yes.
Yes.
Just one
Yes.
thing.
Monica, yes.
No, I
please.
just wanted to add that, I think it's really not about asking based on your gender. Anything, it needs to be gender agnostic in terms of whenever
That's true.
you
I
are
believe that.
looking for something, whether you are a particular role, that's a career opportunity, role opportunity. If the role demands it to be in terms of, in any form, it needs to be gender agnostic. I think what is happening by and large is that there is a perception, not a perception, but a reality in many cases about that it is assumed that being a woman, you will not be able to do those roles. And I'm again talking with reference to the corporate world. But let that, so it's not about women's right and saying that give us a chance and we can prove men wrong. It's not men versus women really, as much
Sure.
as being, is that particular role or an opportunity for the, look at the talent, not the gender.
That's
I
true.
have a request to
Yes,
make
ma'am.
of any corporate person here, while here on the stage or otherwise, is that it all starts so early. I mean, last year I got into this controversy, one more controversy with the IIT Bombay issue, where I don't know if all of you were very busy, but I wrote this open letter finally after being invited for 3 years in a row to go and play their festival. Just to give you an idea, the specific request I have to make of brands and any corporate person sitting out here is, if you do really stand for the idea of equality and equal opportunity, when you are sponsoring even something as simple as a festival in a college campus, and you're not taking note about the fact that for 3 decades in a row, there are no female headliners, be it in music, be it in the literary section, be it in the theater section, be it in the stand-up comedy section. Year after year, you are propagating the myth that the male is supreme, and at best I'm a decorative add-on, or I can only come a third best. You're propagating that system and that hierarchy right from the very start. So while I'm traveling so much and performing so much, it breaks my heart to tell you that after I wrote that open letter, I used to at least perform in the female colleges, because as I said, women for women is like understandable because we are going to discuss some very womanly issues. But for a female headliner to go with a band and even perform in a university And you know, these are big, big festivals. They are always backed by the big brands. But nobody bothers to check that year after year, you have 5 days of performances, and it's always a male headliner. It's always a male headliner. And these are the little, I can only speak from my personal perspective. I'm
Sure.
sure the other professions
Well,
have
my
their own
personal
requests.
perspective is that when I was in Delhi University, I would love to go and see a female performing over any man. It is not even talent, it is love. But coming to Tanishta, we were talking about, yes, Vani.
One rejoinder to the last thread of thought on prettiness. I thought it's just something that, for example, in the film industry, it's very, it's sort of normal to say, show me your pretty face. And, being in the film industry as I was for 10 years and also, having come from theatre, I used to always wonder that what is it that it is just
How do you
about
make
the
the pretty face, huh?
Well, I think...
Pretty face.
Well, I have done theatre with you. I think it wasn't just about a pretty face. But I'm just trying to underline a fact that there are some distinctions which have become very sort of solidified. They have become almost insignia of whatever is equated to being a woman or her womanhood. And being a pretty face just happens to be one of those realities which most women are faced with. And I think that is again that distinction which we need to make, whether it is the agender, as Monica said. There's a big movement on right now in the West saying we are agender, and men and women are coming out and saying we are agender. But this distinction of show me your pretty face, which is very normal, it's just, I think that needs to be understood also, in some context.
Let's try to understand it from Tanishta, who's worked in different cultures in the media industry as an actor. And first tell us, what kinds of people have you worked with in terms of nationality and culture? And then if you can go ahead and tell us if there is any difference in this question of being gender agnostic in different cultures.
It's a very long discussion, but...
I know, some highlights,
yeah, I mean, I've worked,
controversial ones.
Yes, I have worked in Europe quite a bit. I've worked in Australia, I've worked in America and in India. I mean, like when you ask the question, we have a lot of powerful women CEOs and politicians and, in positions of power, we have a lot of Indian women. But when it comes to a generic society, we still face biases constantly. And I would completely agree with Vani there that because of a feudal background, we have two sections, very demarcated two sections where some people who come from a very privileged family, which comes from a caste system and the feudal order, they get all the exposure, so it doesn't matter, gender really doesn't matter there. But the patriarchy there helps you to reach a particular position. You have a powerful brother or a father who puts you in that position. And if you don't, then it's difficult and the struggles are large, though I think the narrative is changing. Whereas I think in the West, probably in the more developed countries as we speak, the equality when you just live in society at large, in a middle class society, it's more equal. But those like really high positions, it's tough. We were promoting a film called Parched, which is about women and sexuality. And we had a screening in one of the most gender equal societies and countries of the world in Sweden, in Stockholm. And even in Stockholm, women came to us and said that we identified with these stories, which is about domestic violence, which is about subjugation of desire in women, about how a prostitute deals with age. It's the same narrative. So I think the narrative in that sense doesn't change. Like I was just speaking to Shona, like inside, I was in a panel in Telluride a few years back where we were discussing why Hollywood is so underrepresented as far as women are concerned. And though there are many powerful producers in Hollywood, there are very few directors who are women. And even the powerful producers are unable to bring forward those stories which women want to tell. So there's clearly like a control in terms of, how the narrative would go. And I mean, as an artist and as a person who is a performing artist again, as an actor, what I would like to see, and I agree with Shona there, that we have to create our own stories. We have to say that, okay, if I'm not getting a role like this, then let me write for myself.
Yeah.
And let me
Yeah,
change
but
the
then
narrative
that's,
like
that's
that.
also unfair because you're not a writer. I mean, you
No,
might be,
I'm not
but many
saying
people
me-
are not.
me as
But you
Tanishta.
rally around with women
I'm not saying me as
or come
Tanishta, but
around
I'm
with
saying
Yeah,
like-minded
but then
people.
that's not the
women
way to
and-
become gender agnostic, I would think.
But we have to start somewhere.
But you have to start
can't
somewhere
remain,
because the thing is that I also very strongly feel that our society at large, the narrative for women will only change through pop culture. Because pop culture is a space where people grow up with those ideas and those images without really underlining or thinking about it.
Well, I agree to that.
And while there's such
Unless
excellent
we change it through pop culture, and in our country, film is such a huge pop culture, we will never see that change. It is not about teaching a guy or a girl that this is how you should behave. It's just telling them effortless stories where you just represent women differently. And,
That's true.
And for that to be written, we as women or as men have to take a very active interest. Even at times when it fails at the box office, we still have to make that change and be that responsible as a society to make that change in the narrative.
And I think that even as filmmakers, we have to be responsible to make it reach out even more
Yeah.
if you have something to say, to make it even more interesting and entertaining.
Yes, and I think, recently I always give the example of a film called Sairat, which actually made, it was a huge success at the box office. It did not underline a feminist story. It was about but the gender reversals were excellent. And it just created characters which were not stereotyping gender. And, the audiences fell in love with those characters. The boy was very much in touch with his feminine side. The woman
And
was-
vice versa.
Yeah, and vice versa. And, the audiences fell in love with these characters. And it wasn't underlined as a feminist film. It was about actually caste politics and honor killing. But, the gender reversals were so beautifully and effortlessly done. And I think in popular cinema, we have to constantly create it without underlining. And so that, audiences just accept it without an effort. And that's how we change the narrative. That's how we change the way people look at women and men.
And now I'm going to ask you, Priyanka, if you can tell us about your personal experiences working in different cultures as an actor. But before that, I'd like to say that very soon we'll come to the audience to ask some questions. And is there somebody who can pass a mic around? Please prepare for that. And come into the center, you stand there so we can decide on who we can go to. Prepare while I ask you for your observations.
Imtiaz, I didn't know what it was going to be, this panel, and because I RSVP'd yesterday, so very innocently I wrote something down, which I think will stream the entire thing and my personal experience as an actor and as a human being and as a woman, and as well as gender, without gender. So, so here goes. Dear all, I thank you from the bottom of my heart to have me here this evening amongst such distinguished people, artists and technicians. I am here before you not as a woman, but as a human being striving for a better future in the field of entertainment, education, and the arts. I'm an actor telling stories, wanting to represent better versions of me through the stories I find, or the ones that find me. I request all of you present here to support this movement of better female representation in our films. Female writers, producers, directors, and actors are all out here in our country wanting better representation in our films, industry, and home country. I request that when people in power choose, they have the ability and the intellect to choose devoid of gender recognition, but on the basis of merit and diligence, on the basis of truth in the voice and dedication towards a better story told. Women in India have come a long way, but some stories are still unheard and some hands are still not held. We still have a long way to go. I still have a long way to go. There is so much to do. In some countries, I hear they talk about building a wall. Let's not make invisible walls around us. May we truly nourish potential devoid of gender. As an individual growing in this country, I grew angry for the way I was treated on many circumstances. Some of those stories were so raw that it will take me a little more than this life to heal. I'm grateful to the arts to provide opportunities along the way to express myself and find forgiveness. I'm still searching, living, and growing. I envision a better future for women in film, women in life, where there will be no barriers to break, but only personal human revolutions and breaking their own barriers of fear. It's 2017, for God's sake. I leave you guys with a quote by Dorothy L. Sayers. In fact, there is perhaps only one human being in 1,000 who is passionately interested in his job for the job's sake. The difference is that one person in 1,000 is a man. We say simply that he's passionately keen on his job. If she is a woman, we say she's a freak. You've got to love her for that. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are getting ready for audience questions. How are we doing on time? Is somebody going to tell me? Because we can, 10 minutes. Okay. So we've got 10 minutes. We'll stretch it to a little bit more because I think that we're completely underutilizing the panel. Who's going to ask an interesting question? And a question, please. If you have an observation, save it for later. Just a question, point it out. Please say your name. Yes.
Sandeep from Afternoon here. Priyanka ma'am, what do you feel about the recent trend of woman-centric films and films made by lady directors and producers?
Priyanka is here.
I'm Priyanka.
Huh. I'm Richa, sir.
Who are you asking? Don't worry.
Yeah, may I hear the question again, please?
What do you think of the recent trend of woman-centric films and films made by female ladies and producers and directors?
First of all, why is it a trend? You know, this whole, the idea of trending, makes me figure it out like
Makes
a
it superficial.
hashtag. I mean, why is it a trend? I mean, it's a normal thing. It's a female director. I mean, she's a director. She's an actress. She's a producer. Female director, this award goes to female director. It doesn't make sense to me. So this trend you talk about, I mean, this is why we are here. We want to do better films. We want to do better roles, and as female artists, let's not...
Priyanka, I've got to ask you, Tanishta and Richa, this question. Referring to you as actress, what does that do? Do you like it, hate it, you don't mind it? What's going on with actor and actress?
No,
Like nobody will say
I
Sona
normally-
is a singress.
No,
But is it
yes.
songress?
There is a songress. But I mean, I used to mind it because somebody said it's derived from actor. But I said, hey, maybe the actor is derived from the actress.
Could
so
be.
now I don't mind it. And I say whatever I feel like, irrespective of gender. It's irrelevant.
Is your, Tanishta, your attitude about that one like my attitude towards Bollywood and Hollywood?
What is your attitude towards Bollywood? I don't know that.
Well, I
Tell
hate
me.
to say the word because I feel it's a kind of a
Derived.
cheap
It is
imitation of
derived.
something,
Yeah.
but then it's just easier to say it sometimes, so I'm
It is
confused.
derived. I would prefer to call it like, Indian cinema. And because
No, we are not talking about that. We are talking about actor and
derivative.
actress.
actor and actress. I don't care. It's a chicken and egg situation.
So you're
I don't
gender
know-
agnostic as far as that's
I don't
concerned.
know. Yeah, I don't know where it came from. Maybe the actress came first, so I don't really
I
care.
was talking to my dad about it. My mom is she teaches in the university. And when I said, this actress, and he was like, I used to teach in the university and they used to call me teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But Ajit, are you careful about that being a man? Because I'm sure that you meet a lot of
The
female
biggest
actors.
The biggest majority of the panel, you're asking exactly the right question to.
I'm being most careful here, being on this panel itself,
Yeah.
So.
I'm still far away, I can run.
No, see, I think let's just try to make some sense of this larger discussion here. I think we've heard, some points which point to the pain that has been associated with being a woman, the challenges and so on and so forth. I think that's a fact. There is no denying that a woman has to, has to work that much harder and has to sort of cross greater hurdles. And I don't think there is any, any debate there. And that's very simply because, we are a 5,000-year-old society, which is, come from the whole idea of Manusmriti and all of that, So we are carrying a humongous baggage of being a very male-dominated society. That to me is the old story. what excites me is that this story is actually changing very rapidly, and if you see what is happening around in society at large is this ceiling that we are talking about is repeatedly getting broken, and getting broken in very traditional countries like even India, I mean, look at sports, and whereas the most harvest of medals come from, it's come from women. And it's not come because anybody, asked something or anything was given to them or there was a reservation, all of that. They have earned it completely. If you look at corporates, clearly the progressive, forward-looking corporates are making interventions to actually get more women on the board. But again, to me, these things are small and incremental. The most exciting thing is how cinema is changing, because, if there is one power which can change societal attitudes at large, it's something like cinema. And if you see the kind of films that are winning people today, that gives me a lot of hope, and that gives me a lot of sense of how these things will change maybe much faster than what we imagine them to be. There is a A-list film, I won't be able to name it, and somebody would not believe this, but the lead actress in that A-list top-tier film has been paid much higher than the actor. This is something that...
In your company?
No, it's in the industry, and I'm going to qualify that. To me, that's the highlight.
That's awesome.
If this has happened, that's already awesome, right? And if the films are able to weave such stories which are making impact, I think the societal attitudes will get fashioned, will get changed, and that is really what gives me, a great hope. And that to me is really the exciting part of this discussion. So I think we should move it there and see as to how this change can be accelerated, and accelerated not perhaps by pushing it, but more organically by possibly being more agender, and by doing things, that are required to be done, rather than, taking this up as a cause and doing it for the sake of it.
Isn't it a paradox that you have what you call not a very liberated view at women in television serials, but the ones who are famous, the actors, are female, and those are the ones.
But they're portraying. The propaganda is these are consumed by women, made by women, and also produced by.
Is that a bad thing?
And it's very regressive. No, it's not a bad thing. But the regression, and that's why when I was trying.
So these women are very male chauvinistic.
That's why I was speaking about the shared collaboration.
Women
that
also with the same
this bastion is very regressive right now. This space is very regressive right now. And the funny part is, in terms of content, films have taken a big. I mean, I can understand why that gentleman said the word trend, because the propaganda used to be that women protagonist cinema is commercially unviable. That has gotten broken, in recent times.
That's
that is the progression that you see, and yet television and content is getting increasingly regressive. And we should be very worried about it as a society right now.
The penetration is so much higher. It's going into every home, and even women watching them is dangerous, because it's creating a sort of stereotype in everybody's mind.
Yes, Richa.
It's a little more complicated than that. It's a little more complicated than just progressive attitudes at play. There is a huge English, Hindi or English and Tamil, Telugu, Gujarati divide. The serials that are made for the national viewing have a certain format. And then literally you see versions of them in any other regional language. You and I will not watch Nagin on TV. We'll watch Amazon Prime or we'll watch Netflix. But this is the divide between, say, my grandmother who watches these shows, my mother who will probably watch Zindagi channel, some nice, literally Pakistani or Turkish dramas now, and me. So I think it's more of a class and language thing. However, I completely agree. It is a very, very dangerous thing, because like some 10 years ago in Gwalior or Indore, a kind of school propped up to educate women how to be ideal bahus, and then they had these posters of famous TV actresses, all of whom I know personally, who wear shorts and bikinis and take lovely holidays with their boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. And it taught a woman that the woman could go there and learn how to be the ideal wife. And we've all grown up on this, or like all this Bhabhi tum khushiyon ka khazana, Pehli Kiran, and all or ads. Ooh, ouch. Subah se sham tak 8 baje nashta, 10 baje something. 11 बजे ये 12
that a
बजे
song?
बच्चे
Is that a song? Wow.
No, but
is
right
an
now,
ad
even in
for,
advertising,
It's an ad. Okay.
even for
Okay.
Father's Day, right now in advertising, the current trend is women's liberation right now seems to be everybody's dharohar. Because in advertising, Father's Day maybe you have to show the fact that it's all very...
Yes.
Imtiaz, one question.
Yes, sir.
Richa and Tanishta specifically, you have been part of some path-breaking cinema in the past. Do you think today on this platform, there are still some stories, untold stories, which needs to be told, and you need to be part of it as such?
Sir, how we'll tell all stories in 40 minutes?
No, not 40 minutes. Maybe there are some strong subjects here you feel could make a difference when we are talking about women at large. See, we are talking about breaking the glass ceiling, but practically everyone is staying in
there are ample number of stories that need to be told, and there are those stories. I've recently finished a film which is a period piece, which is the life of the first practicing woman doctor of India. And when I did her biography, actually today, as Ajit is saying, if I'm talking about positivity, when I look at her life, who was born in 1864 and she lived till 1955, and the kind of struggles that she went through to become the first practicing female doctor of India, to the life that I have, I think, yes, we have made progress.
I would love to see a Gauhar Jan. I don't know if anybody has heard of Gauhar Jan. We have, but she was the first recording artist of India. She was a superstar. तब तो billboards और वो TV नहीं होता था. But on the Matchbox के cover में उनका मुंह रहता था, and she was like a queen in her own day. But I just need to connect the dots here and tell you that at the turn of the century, you had a Gauhar Jan who was a female superstar, but yet she was not accorded, even till now, a female ustad. There is no equivalent of an ustad or a pandit when it comes to a female performing artist who has reached that level.
Well, that's
वो
true.
कोठे में रहती थी, and the men occupied the concert stages. So for me, Gauhar Jan and her ilk were the first empowered women of our country, because they were the first women who could earn a living and have money in their pocket that was their own and not a brother's or a father's or a husband's. They were the first ones to own property, not in their name. They were not even allowed to own property in their own name. So it was in a brother's name or in somebody else's name. But they were the first ones to pay property taxes. So the lineage of the artist, so to say, without the dignity accorded, or this ustad and pandit thing that I've been screaming about for a long time, in today's day and age, we still do not have an equivalent of an ustad and pandit. It's something to worry about. So the story of a Gauhar Jan and her life, I would say, would make for a very interesting film.
So there you are, many
if you're
stories
making one
that
Imtiaz,
answers
I'll
your
sing
question.
for it. I don't get
Sorry,
to
are you
sing
saying
much.
something? Have I interrupted?
Yeah, I said if you make one like that, I'd sing for it. I have a good voice.
Yeah?
Richa
Okay.
had something to say.
Let's talk about
Imtiaz,
that.
I did a picture
Yes.
also.
Yeah,
Hold on, just
I have a question for Richa and Tanishta.
hold on. Can you stand up wherever you are? Yes.
I am Jyoti Venkatesh here, journalist. Question to Richa as well as Tanishta. Both of you are good actresses who acted in different kind of films or different genres. But can you tell me frankly, as actresses, whether it is different and difficult to act with a female director or with a male director? Because sensitivity is something different and mindset also
That's a
different.
good question. I'd like an answer as well. Is it different?
Working with the...
Please tell us the lie.
My mic
Trick
is
question.
not working.
You got your answer.
Oh, I thought it's a conspiracy. Sir, hello. Jyoti Venkatesh, sir. Hi, how are you? Sir, my third big job in life was to work with a director called Meera Nair. It was just a short film, not released yet. And I observed how she walked into the set and how she commanded respect without ever raising her voice. And it was like a bustling crew which would often fall silent, but not out of fear, but out of respect. And she would be able to achieve whatever she wanted. And that taught me that I had been conditioned to believe that in order to get ahead, a woman has to be a bitch. You understand? And that, I'm really glad I broke that concept immediately, because I saw, okay, this woman is my director. She could also be my friend. She could also be maternal towards me. And I learned so much from that. So I think it's fun to work with a good director, irrespective of gender.
And Tanishta?
Sorry, I have the last question.
Tanishta, you are not replied.
Yeah, I would completely agree with Richa. I've,
Tanishta, you are not replied.
what I
Yeah, she's replying if you let
That's
her.
what I'm replying, that I would completely agree with Richa. I've worked with both female and male directors, and I think it's very individual. It's not gender specific at all. You can have a very insensitive female director and a very sensitive male director, and vice versa.
Geraldine,
it's not
you
gender
want
specific.
to say something?
What I had noticed from a lot of films that I've done, one burns one's heart and soul in making a film, and then because the distribution or the P&A is not good enough, or it's an indie sort of film or a niche sort of thing, then it becomes extremely difficult to send that film out into the larger world. With the advent of digital stuff, it's become so much easier to be able to directly access your audience. And if it's good, then word of mouth sends the film into another orbit. As in the case of Chutney, it's at 47.5 or something million views. So we spent 0 rupees on advertising it, nothing at all. So yeah, I think it's just absolutely fabulous, both for the audiences and for the makers, because the audiences also don't want a overly marketed film which is pushed down their throats every single day. And the makers, of course, want to not spend additional money on top of the product. I'd rather spend on making a very good film than on just pushing it out there. So I think it's a win-win. That's right.
Has that got anything to do with the social media presence?
Actually, no, the money was really good. There wasn't anything else to it. Telugu is a very cash-rich business. I do think the cinema is rather formulaic, but yeah, you know, you need to...
But did you get any international offers based on your social media presence?
No, I think largely it was based on what people perceive to be talent, but not really on the basis of social media presence. No.
Okay.